Greetings, as I film this, it is July the 10th of 2019. So, like most Ghostbusters fans, I had to order the Ecto-Tron from Hasbro Pulse. So, the reason I got it from Hasbro Pulse was it was a little bit cheaper. Now, I write it on my calendar, and I'm like, Ecto-Tron, that's one of the things that I'm awaiting to arrive in the mail. Months go by, months go by, months go by, and I realize, wait a second, did that ever get ordered? Did I actually complete the order on that? I remember looking at it at two websites. What if I forgot to order this thing? So I'm looking through my emails, I'm looking through my PayPal, I'm looking every possible place I can. I've got no confirmation that I ever ordered the thing, and I came this close to ordering it again from GameStop. Happened to see on social media, somebody said, I finally got my shipping notice. I was like, you did? Okay, cool. Waited a couple more days and got my shipping notice from Hasbro Pulse, where you may have learned it was about $10 less than what it was at GameStop. So, got this guy in, but I'm seeing so many people in the meantime post, I got mine, I got mine, I got mine. I thought, nah, this is gonna be sort of a also ran kind of a video. Everybody's got this Ecto-Tron toy. So what's gonna make my unboxing video different or unique or, okay, you may have seen a video that I posted on the 9th where I said I went up to my mom's attic looking for something else and found instead this box of Ghostbusters items. Well, I also found the box that I went up there looking for. I was up here several weeks ago and there were baby birds in this nest and the mother bird was feeding them. And unfortunately I didn't have a camera with me. So somewhere in these boxes, in this area, I'm thinking there were some Transformers toys of mine. Hopefully. A lot of this stuff is just empty boxes from years ago. This is model kits. I should probably get that one out of here too. Also a G.I. Joe aircraft carrier, a Terrordrome, and various other things. Empty Star Wars boxes again on that one. Popcorn, 15 cents. That was a prop in a student-directed play that Doug Young and I did back in college. Hey, Shoney's Big Boy. But right up here is where all my Ghostbusters stuff was for years and years. Right in this area was where my slime blower was stored for a long time, until I made videos about it in 2011 entitled Ghostbusters from the Attic. Yep, sure enough, that was it. G.I. Joe Transformers. There was like bird or mouse droppings all over the top of it when I opened the lid to look inside to check. So when I got the box down from Mom's attic and started going through it, it had a lot of G.I. Joe stuff. It had a Cobra Rattler in it. It had a Cobra Night Raven in it. It had the G.I. Joe Headquarters Command Center. It had the little sea platform thing. What else? It had a Mobat. So I had all this G.I. Joe stuff in there, but mixed in with it were some of my Transformers. Now, unfortunately, I didn't find my Megatron. There are things that I know that I had that are missing. For instance, you know the big G.I. Joe aircraft carrier that I saw in Mom's attic? To try to make it look bigger, I took the Transformers Jetfire plane and another Transformer that was a helicopter whose name eludes me at the moment, and tried to put them on the aircraft carrier to make it look even grander in scale. So, found Jetfire, couldn't find the helicopter. But I've gone through the box, I've sifted the G.I. Joes from the Transformers. Let's look into this and see what we got. One of the first things that I found was this Pretenders character. I think they were called Pretenders. I'm not entirely sure. Now this guy, I remember him being on the shelf of my bedroom closet for years and years and years. And he's just a really cool wolf with armor on him. But you crack him open, and inside there is a Transformer. I have no emotional connection to that guy. I just thought the wolf was so cool. I found a bag that I had no recollection of having. This appears to be the Constructicons. I'm not sure if these are knockoffs or legit Hasbro ones, but I would never have remembered that I had these. I don't think I had the real ones. So this one, I'm gonna put it to the side. I'll have to do some investigating on that. See if it's a legit Transformer. One of the next ones that I found was Grimlock. Now, I thought this was a particularly cool character back in the day. A Transformer, very unlike all of the cars and boom boxes. This guy was a T-Rex. I mean, who didn't love this character right here? Now, how did I get into Transformers? Let's talk about that for a second. My neighbor, Craig, that you've heard me talk about before in some of these videos, he showed me one that he had bought. This really cool truck that transformed. And in this box, about the next thing that I found was my original Optimus Prime. Now, Optimus Prime was, I have to say, one of the cool figures that they had in the line. Oh wow, I've got some little army man in his cab. That's crazy. Okay, I don't know what toy line the little army man is from, but if you know, let me know, because that's kind of cool. All right, anyway, I had a guy in the cab of the truck. So Craig had Optimus Prime, and he also had this boombox that I mentioned earlier. Soundwave, voiced, as most of the Decepticons were, by Frank Welker.
Now, if you don't recognize the name Frank Welker, well, shame on you, because he was the voice of Ray Stantz and Slimer on The Real Ghostbusters. I think he was also the voice of Stay Puft in some episodes. And just for good measure, he was also the voice of the Gopher in Caddyshack 2. So the scenes where Dan Aykroyd is fighting the Gopher, Ray Stantz is fighting Ray Stantz.
But this was really like the character that I just absolutely thought was awesome. He turns into a robot, and he kind of looked like he was the one that the Decepticon logo was based off of. Maybe I just imagined that.
You think that head looks like that?
But then, in addition, his battery compartment would open, and his batteries were his weapons. But he would have other characters that would be inside of him as cassettes, and they would eject and they would transform. Now this one in here appears to be Laserbeak, and he's wedged in there pretty good, so I may have to take a toothpick in there and try to get him out. Frank Welker also voiced Megatron, and that's one of the ones that concerns me because I could not find my original gun Megatron in here, and I know that my Megatron was still in his box. I kept the box to store him in, so that's a cause for concern. That means somewhere there is another box. Not only did I have Soundwave, but I also had Blaster, who was the Autobot boombox. I don't know. If you got the one boombox, you got to get the other one, right? Now, in addition to Optimus Prime, I had Ultra Magnus, who reutilized the same cab for a different character. Seems like there's a piece missing right there that he should attach to. But as you can see, obviously same mold. And I think actually in Japan, it was just Optimus transforming and being put inside that. Now here's a cool guy, Jetfire, as I mentioned already, which of course is a Robotech character that was given a Transformers makeover and led to some legal issues for them. Very happy to have found that one though, because that was always one of my favorites. I found some of the vehicles for the Action Masters line, but I didn't find all the figures for the Action Masters line. In fact, the only figure that I found was the one for the Megatron tank. So here's Megatron as a non-transformable Action Master. So I always thought it was a really cool figure though, because he was much more posable than the Megatron Transformer was, because with the mechanics for the transformation sequence, you didn't always have the ability to, you know, strike these action-y poses. A lot of people had an outcry about the Action Masters, that they were Transformers that didn't transform, but I liked them. So somewhere I know I've got Starscream as an Action Master, Optimus as an Action Master. I had several of them, but they're not in this box. I did find another Megatron, which is this tank version of him, and I thought for a second that it had been stored with batteries inside of it, but thankfully it was not. And here's a little character that I don't remember his name, but he was a bad guy that was a truck, and I think he was a combiner. I think there were cars that would click onto him, but I only ever bought the truck. Yet another version of Optimus Prime. I had collected a few other things over the years, so some of those were here in my house, like, Unicron, who sort of looks like a Transformer had a baby with a Death Star, and he can eat a planet right there. Cool. I have not transformed this guy in a long time, so I'm not even going to attempt to try to do it right now. He's been in planet mode for quite some time. Here's something interesting though. Unicron was voiced by Orson Welles, who is famous for having a voiceover rant, the Frozen Peas commercial, which actually kind of led to Maurice LaMarche, the cartoon Egon, getting his Pinky and the Brain job, but more on that later. And Casey Kasem was voices on the Transformers cartoon series. I think like Cliff Jumper, might have been some others. And, he was in Ghostbusters, obviously. He's another voiceover guy who is famous for having a rant, the one about the dead dog dedication. So it kind of makes me glad that nobody's come up with any Frank Welker rants or meltdowns, or any Peter Cullen rants or meltdowns. Peter Cullen was the guy that voiced Optimus Prime on the original cartoon and in the movie as well. There was another Optimus Prime that came out, and it was virtually identical to mine from back in the day, and I got it for Zach. And right now, the only piece of it that we can find are the fists of it, which I put up on a shelf, and now we can't find the truck or the trailer or anything else. But we've got, hopefully we could piece together one good one, because I just discovered that the mechanism that's supposed to launch roller out of the back of the trailer is not working at the moment. So I may have to disassemble that and see if the springs have broken or something over time. Then they brought out this guy. And well, I had to have him too. So he came with some really cool accessories. He had the gun that he was supposed to, and then he had the Vibro Axe arm from the original cartoon, and he came with a Megatron. Unfortunately, my Megatron, the folding stock, has broken, the little piece that attaches it to the gun. But in doing some research for this and in talking to some knowledgeable Transformers experts that are friends of mine, I found out that's a very common mistake with this. And if you want to buy one that actually has an intact gun, it's going to cost you buku money. So here's a little tiny Megatron and a great big Optimus, illustrating the mass shift that would often occur on the cartoon. One of the things I really liked about this figure was that it came with the leadership matrix in the chest there. And also, I thought this was kind of cool. He's got a button on the back of his head so that you can make his mouth move as if he's talking. So I just thought that was kind of a neat nod to the cartoon animation right there. This was a no-brainer. My oldest son's name is Orion, so when they brought out the Orion Pax figure, had to buy that one. Orion Pax was the name of Optimus Prime before he received the Autobot leadership matrix, and Pax means peace. And Zach has a few Transformers in his collection, some Star Wars ones and different stuff, and he had this, which is actually still working at the moment. And it has some voice phrases as well.
Ecto-Tron is in my sights. We must protect the All-Star Cube. I am Optimus Prime. Autobots, transform and roll out.
I wish that it said freedom is the right of all sentient beings, but they didn't have that one in there. Even as recently as last year, I was buying some Transformers. I started a photo thread on my Facebook that said Transformers! Question mark, because none of these actually transform. One was the metal Optimus Prime, who does not transform, although you can see a representation of the robot on the belly of the truck. And I got these guys also from Walmart, who do not transform, but there's a Starscream figure for you. Harkens back to the Action Master days when I collected a Starscream who wouldn't transform. I never had the original Starscream. I need to find one of those. I should have bought that one that came out last year. Also, Soundwave, pretty cool. These are just vinyl toys that were like $4 each, $5 each, something like that. Again, you gotta get Megatron, and you gotta get Optimus Prime. So, pretty cool. I enjoyed those, and immediately bought them and then boxed them up, never dreaming that they were going to bring out a Ghostbusters-themed Transformer in 2019. And one of my most recent Transformers purchases was last year when they brought out this Bumblebee with more cartoon accurate head on it. I think it had been a keychain previously. Anyway, saw this at Walmart, had to have it. Actually, there was one funny thing about the fact that I was a fan of both Transformers and Ghostbusters in the 80s, because if you look back at my videos from 2011 about Ghostbusters from the Attic, I mentioned Tech Specs decoders several times. Now, this is Optimus Prime's file card off the back of his package, and it came with this little piece of red translucent plastic so that it would knock out all the red lines and only show you the blue lines, and you could see what sort of specs Optimus Prime had. I used these red things in a bunch of my Ghostbusters props from the 80s.
piece of clear red plastic. That comes from the tech specs decoder of a Transformers. There's actually another piece of Transformers tech specs decoder in there. The logo at the top was more of that Transformers tech specs decoder plastic.
Now you've seen my Ghostbusters notebook in previous videos. Let me show you something that's in here. And I know approximately what year this was because my monograph had not yet changed to its current form, and I've got a whole system about when it became what. So this would have been roughly while I was in college, first couple of semesters, and this was my doodle of a Transformers version of the Ecto-1. Now I called it the Ecto-Prime, and I kind of like the fact that the sniffer was the face, and that the fins were on the arms, which is not what Hasbro did. But anyway, so that's my old image that I did, you know, 1990, somewhere in that ballpark. So now that you see that I ain't playing around when it comes to Transformers, let's open Ecto-Tron. And yes, I do want that Optimus Prime San Diego Comic-Con exclusive guy. Hopefully it won't cost an arm and a leg to get one. Hopefully they will be made available in other ways after SDCC. There we go. A Ghostbusters Transformers toy. Yeah, I was gonna buy that.
Ghostbusters! Who you gonna call?
So even though Hasbro came up with their own version of this, I mean, when I saw something that close to my Ecto-Prime doodle from college, I was like, yep, gotta have that. Definitely gonna pick that up. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tour through my Transformers collection. And if I can find some of the other ones, I might do a follow-up and show you the Megatron figure and different stuff like that. But as always, thank you for watching.